Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 88th Annual Membership Meeting of Shenandoah Valley Electric Cooperative, or SVEC. Thank you all so much for joining us here. Tonight's meeting is being recorded and will be posted on our website. Now, if you have any questions for the SVEC board or staff at any time during the call tonight, you may press 0 and someone will assist you in taking your question. Again, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 88th Annual Membership Meeting of SVEC. We appreciate everyone for joining us. My name is Taylor, and I will help guide us along our meeting this evening. Please remember that if you have a question that you would like to ask live, you'll need to press 0 on your phone keypad. We will have an operator assist you with getting your question submitted. And you can press 0 right now or at any point throughout this meeting. We will be sure to answer those questions a little later on. And now that we do have everyone on the line with us, I want to recognize your elected board members who are together for this meeting. First, Board Chair Bill Orndorff from Frederick County. We have Vice Chair Jerry Dolfelmeyer from Page County. Secretary Treasurer Dr. Conrad Helsley from Shenandoah County, Brent Arbogast from Rockingham County, Steve Burkholder from Rockingham County, Larry Howdyshell from Augusta County. Also with us tonight, Robbie Marchant from the City of Winchester, Suzanne Obenshane from Rockingham County, along with Brian Plum from Page County, and Todd Van Horn from Frederick County. Also joining tonight are select SVEC staff and corporate attorney Hannah Hutman. I would now like to take a moment to announce the 12 randomly selected winners of a $250 bill credit. I will say the winners' names followed by their location, and those co-op members are Victoria Elbers in Winchester, Roy Beatty in Winchester, Beulah Botkins in McDowell, Marcia Brownfield in Quicksburg, Marguerite Berger in Winchester, also Betty Lou Kaufman, Winchester, Catherine Dean, Mount Crawford, Herman and Rosemary Hale in Harrisonburg, James Heiner in Mount Jackson, Celine Medjahid Schwethelm in Winchester, Justin Platt in Clearbrook, and finally, Bonnie Smith in Harrisonburg. And congratulations, staff will follow up with each winner individually regarding that bill credit. I will now ask Vice Chair Jerry Dolfelmeyer to provide a moment of reflection as we begin our business meeting.
Thank you, Taylor. Will you pray with me, please? Dear Lord, we take this moment to thank you for the chance to gather tonight as a cooperative and as a community. We ask that you steer our conversations and decisions to be worthy and constructive for the good of everyone involved. Lead us to conduct this meeting and our daily business in the best manner possible. Thank you for your many blessings, and please guide our organization to do your will. Amen.
Thank you so much, Jerry. And once again, if you have questions tonight, please press 0 to be placed into the queue. Now, at this time, I'd like to introduce SVEC Board Chair Bill Orndorff to call the meeting to order.
Thank you, Taylor. Good evening, everyone. My name is Bill Orndorff, and I'm the Chairman of the Board of Directors here at Shenandoah Valley Electric Cooperative. And I can now call this 88th meeting of the Shenandoah Valley Cooperative to order. Now, folks, in order to help move things along, as chair, I'll accept motions and seconds on the usual routine matters from board members because they are present in the room and I can see them. Everyone attending by telephone can vote on motions by pressing 1 on your phone for yes and pressing 2 for no at the appropriate time. I will now call on Dr. Conrad Helsley, our Secretary Treasurer, to verify the meeting's quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The total cooperative membership as of May the 23rd, 2024 was 82,221 members. Article 3, Section 4 of the Cooperative's bylaws states that 2.5% of the total number of members present in person or represented by proxy shall constitute a quorum for the annual membership meeting. Also, under state law, members casting ballots online are deemed present. This 2.5% of the membership at the applicable time means 2,056 members need to be present or represented by proxy. As of 4:30 p.m., July the 31st, which was the cutoff for our annual meeting registration, the number of members registered or voting online for the director elections was 690, and the total members represented by valid proxies was 4,059. As a result, 4,749 members are recognized as attending this meeting, and therefore a quorum exists. Survey and Ballot Systems is the company that has handled the logistics for the meeting, including the meeting notice, proxies, and balloting. The cooperative has in its possession a certificate from that company stating that on June the 18th of 2024, it mailed the official notice of the 2024 annual members meeting as required by Section 4 of Article 3 of the Cooperative's bylaws. Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Helsley. I will now call for the reading of the full notice of the meeting that was included in materials mailed to all members as Dr. Helsley described, or is there a motion to dispense with the reading of this notice? Is there a second? I have a motion and a second on the floor here to dispense of the reading of the notice. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all members signify by pressing 1 on your phone for aye and 2 on your phone for no. Okay, I can view the results by telephone voting on the monitor, so the motion carries. Thank you very much. I will now call for the reading and approval of the minutes of the 2023 annual meeting, and a copy of these minutes have been available on the website for several weeks. Or is there a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes and approve them as presented? I have a motion and a second here in front of me. Any further discussion on that, the dispense of the reading of the minutes? Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all members in favor of dispensing of the reading minutes, press 1 on your phones, and those opposed, press 2. Again, I can review the results on the screen, and the motion carries. As a reminder, if you have a question for SBC board or staff, please press 0 at any time during the telephone meeting, and someone will assist you. So, folks, on behalf of your member-elected board of directors, good evening and welcome. Once again, my name is Bill Orndorff, and I am the chair of Shenandoah Valley Electric Cooperative's board of directors. I'm glad to have each of you all listening on with us tonight. As a cooperative, Shenandoah Valley Electric Cooperative relies on democracy as its root of governance and operations. That's why we value the active participation from each of you in these meetings. While we sometimes conduct telephone town hall events through a mass call-out, you registered to be called tonight, and that means that you have volunteered your time to be a part of the annual meeting. This is very meaningful to me, as well as the rest of the board with me tonight. You as our members not only choose the leadership by electing the board of directors, but you also help shape the decision-making for the co-op. Your votes in the election and your feedback on co-op business are important to us, and they help direct the actions of everyday operations and issues that affect the future of our cooperative. SVEC exists to serve our members. It always has, and it always will. We continuously strive to provide reliable and safe electric service as the best value possible. So we thank you again for participating with us this evening. And if you have any questions for us, please press 0 at any time. At this time, it gives me great pleasure to turn over to our President and CEO, Greg Rogers. Greg?
Thank you, Bill. With each passing annual meeting, I continue to be impressed by the work of our employees perform. The unpredictability of the weather we encounter, meeting the increasing and diverse needs of our growing membership, combating cybersecurity threats, and the general changing landscape of the energy field as electric vehicles and artificial intelligence become more prominent. All of these factors are among a much longer list of daily challenges that we overcome to provide safe, reliable, and affordable electric service. I cannot possibly mention all the successes from the past year or update you on all the major ongoing projects in my brief remarks. So this is why it's important that you stay engaged with your cooperative throughout the year. We communicate with our members through an email newsletter, Cooperative Living magazine, social media posts, and our website, quarterly telephone town halls similar to tonight's format, and you are always just a phone call away from having your questions answered. That said, a few topics are worth singling out tonight. SVEC recently completed a major transmission line rebuild in Highland County. Working through some difficult terrain, the job called for adding more than 150 steel poles to replace aging wooden poles running along the transmission line that stretches from the Monterey substation to the West Virginia border. There were about 90 structures installed, some spots requiring more than one pole. SVEC replaced everything to include the poles, fiberglass crossarms, and brand new wire were installed. These improvements will help maintain service reliability in Highland County, where the co-op serves about 1,400 meters. This project is but one example of our commitment to all the members. We cannot tout our service reliability if we neglect to meet the needs of members in any given jurisdiction, and that's no easy task when we serve all or parts of 12 counties and cities. A project with a little wider impact is our ongoing meter replacement. About 40,000 meters have been exchanged since the beginning of the project, and we are on track to complete this project over the next 2 years. To date, work has primarily been done in Rockingham and Augusta counties, and more recently in Shenandoah County, and will start in Page County later this month. SVEC's advanced metering infrastructure will introduce the next level of managing and using data related to the grid pressure and its operation. It will better inform members of their electric consumption habits and lead the co-op towards building an even more robust and reliable distribution system. Finally, as we hope to have moved on from the hottest stretch of the summer, we continue to promote energy conservation. Set your thermostat to 78 degrees or as high as you can be comfortable with over the summer. This will help reduce stress on your air conditioning system as you try to keep cool in these hot summer temperatures. For members in older homes, please check your insulation for cracks around windows and doors, especially before we get into the colder months. The time to prepare for a problem is well before that problem occurs. Our dedicated staff of member services representatives can walk you through your energy usage and answer billing questions. Please just give us a call. We cannot promise that you will never have a power outage, but we are proud of a long track record of annual service reliability of about 99%. All of the challenges I mentioned at the start of my remarks are ones that try to affect our reliability. We also sometimes bring it on ourselves, but it's for the safety of our employees. I want to make note of circumstances this summer, especially in Augusta County in recent weeks, where power has gone out multiple times because of something we call hotline tag. If you are one that looks at our outage map during these times, you might see the letters HLT as the cause for an outage, which stands for hotline tag. Hotline tag is the highest possible safety setting that allows our crews and contractors to work on energized lines without having to conduct a planned power outage. However, the nature of this sophisticated system is that if anything, such as a tree limb, comes into contact with the lines while on hotline tag, the flow of electricity will immediately shut off. This protects the workers, but it also leads to a power outage. Fortunately, we are often able to restore service very quickly in those instances. I want to share this situation tonight as it may be fresh on the mind of some of you, but also as we perform maintenance on our lines throughout the year, this could be the cause of an outage at your location. Once again, thank you for taking part of our annual meeting. And as stated before, if you have any general questions for us during the meeting, please press 0. I want to take a quick moment and thank all the employees for all their hard work during 2023-2024. I appreciate them very much. And now we will hear from our attorney, Hannah Hutman, for a discussion of the SVEC bylaws.
Thank you, Greg. The bylaws are the internal rules under which a cooperative, such as SVEC, operates. They tell who can be a member and the rights and duties of members, and they set out the logistics for the annual meeting of members, such as we are here tonight. The bylaws also cover the election process for the board of directors and how the board members govern and the CEO operates the cooperative. Another key topic addressed in the bylaws is the manner in which capital credits are handled. The board of directors modifies the bylaws from time to time as the need arises and seeks ratification of the recent changes at the annual meeting. In recent years, there have been significant amendments to the bylaws that were intended to increase participation of cooperative members in the election of directors by providing for mail-in and online voting and telephonic attendance at the annual meeting. These amendments have been successful as the participation in the annual meeting has increased significantly in recent years. In addition, prior to the 2022 annual meeting, the bylaws were amended to implement changes in the election of directors that will result in the board being reduced from 10 to 9 members this coming year, with the composition of the board being spread evenly among the service territory, and each director serving a 3-year term. This last year, the board of directors made very few amendments to the bylaws, with the only notable amendment being the contact information for members of the qualifications committee that will be made available to the members generally. As amended, an email address will be provided as opposed to the qualifications committee members' physical address. A few typos and formatting glitches were also corrected, but the changes as to the contact information for the qualifications committee was the only item of potential significance. As always, a copy of the bylaws is available on the cooperative's website. I will now turn things back over to Mr. Orndorff.
Thank you, Ms. Hutman. We recognize that the ratification of bylaws is a topic that may require discussion among members. So if you have any questions based on what Ms. Hutman just shared, please press 0 now, and you will have the opportunity to discuss the topic of bylaws specifically live on air here momentarily. All other questions will be answered after we address the bylaws. Now, although the board does have the duty to keep the bylaws up to date, it has been customary for members to ratify the changes from year to year. So do I hear a motion that we do in fact do that and ratify the changes as our attorney described? I have a motion and a second here in the boardroom. Is there any further discussion on these? I'm going to pause for a moment to see if there's any discussion needed from members that are online. Seeing that there are no questions online and here no discussion in the room, I will now call for a vote. All those in favor of ratifying the bylaws, press 1 on your phones, and all those opposed, press 2. I can see on the screen the results here, and the motion carries. At this time, is there any new business to come before the membership? Hearing none in the room, I'd like to turn it over to Taylor to moderate any new business from the members or facilitate any questions that they may have at this time.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And as a last reminder, if you have a question for the SVEC board or staff or an item of new business, please press 0 at any time during this meeting and someone will assist you. So thank you so much, everyone. Let's go ahead and get started. We do have our first question, and this is coming to us from Retta in Luray, and she asked me to read her question. Retta's asking, I thought you used to go by and trim trees above and below the lines. Do you still do that? And also, it's my understanding that electricity travels easier without loose lagging lines. Wouldn't that help our bills?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. Taking the first part of that question, we do have a specific right-of-way at which we cut side to side based on the right-of-way, the terminus, and the easement. We are able to allow some types of species of yard tree to exist underneath the line because they do not grow up to a level that would interfere with the power line. But for most right-of-ways, we are clearing the vegetation outside of the specified right-of-way width, and that is what we found the best way to keep our right-of-ways clear. And it also not only prevents the outages from occurring due to falling limbs and other things, but it makes it easier for our guys to do any kind of repair should they need to by allowing access to the lines themselves. The second question is an interesting one regarding the loose lines. The flow of electricity is basically bound by how well things are connected together. So a very good connection together is what would limit what would prevent the limitation of the power flow, which would cause the loss of basically losses, and that would cause basically due to heat. So those are things that would cause problems with the power flow. The line being loose, in some cases, if you imagine a clothesline in the backyards, if anybody still has those out there nowadays, you realize that if you pull those very, very tight, the poles actually take a lot heavier force than if you let them sag a little bit and certainly accommodate a heavy load of clothes. So our lines are designed to mechanically sag between poles to allow for the appropriate mechanical nature of holding the lines up in the air effectively. So that, as long as all the connections are good, the power flows freely, and we're able to serve everybody. The looseness of the lines, what might appear to be loose, should be a tolerable state. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. And let's go to our next question, if we can, from Michelle in Edinburgh. Michelle, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Go ahead with your question. You're live.
Hello, and thank you for allowing me to speak to this evening. I have a question regarding the Edinburgh area as it pertains to the Liberty Furnace, Wolf Gap area. I know that Chantel has a partnership now that is going to require some assistance from SVEC for expanding internet into those areas. And one of the challenges being cited by Chantel is the conditions of the poles either not being tall enough or not being in good enough repair. And so I just wanted to ask questions if that concern has been raised to SVEC, and if so, what are the plans for the partnership to help bring internet to these more rural areas?
Okay, thank you so much for your question. Obviously, over the years, we have attachers that come in and attach to our poles for various reasons. In the last couple of years, with the push for broadband, obviously that work has dramatically increased. But we are working with many ISPs across our territory. You mentioned Chantel, and so we have a process that we go through that basically allows us to, they tell us where they need to connect. We examine the facilities and make sure that those facilities can accommodate that attachment. And then once that is done, then there's construction done by us to make any of that make-ready work complete, and it's followed up by their installation of the line. So it's a very established process that we go through with any of our ISPs out there that may want to attach to our poles. The volume is ever increasing in current times, but again, we have plans in place to accommodate that. And there are places where the poles are not tall enough or not ready to accommodate, and those poles are engineered and make-ready work is completed to allow for the attachment. So we work closely with Shentel and all of our ISPs to follow a well-established process to handle those as they come in. I appreciate your question.
All right. Thank you so much, Michelle. Up next here, we have another caller on the line with us. Carmen, you are live. Please go ahead.
Hi, yes. I was curious about the scope of easements that the cooperative is requiring of its members because, you know, we all want to be good neighbors, but we also want to have control over our property. And I was asked to sign an easement that was very broad, and I wanted to get thoughts on what is necessary of our cooperative members to give.
Thank you for your question. Easements are very specific to properties. We have a multitude of easements on our thousands of miles of lines we have out there, and they are unique to the property that's given. They're designed to allow us the right accesses to both install, maintain the line, as well as restore should there be power outages. And so all of those kind of govern the width of the right-of-way and the vegetation that we need to remove, whether it's an overhead or underground right-of-way. All those things come into play. It's really more of an individual question relative to the land we're going over, the type of line we're installing, and probably would be easier if we have somebody contact you and really discuss it in a little more direct detail. But that is the basic premise at which we get easements. And we are very aware that, people have, the rights of their own land, and we make sure that the easements are in place so that we and they understand what we need in order to operate our lines effectively and provide them good, reliable, and affordable power.
Well, thank you so much for that information, and thank you, Carmen, for joining. Let's take another one here that we have from Cortland in Winchester. Cortland, thank you again for joining. You're live with us. Please go ahead. Cortland, you're live with us. You can go ahead with your question. All right. Looks like Cortland may have just stepped away from their phone. I can read their question. Looks like Cortland's asking, I've been inquiring on getting my transformer replaced several times and is a charge piece of equipment to my house that has raised my bill tenfold. I have not had any luck or told why my bill has increased this much. Can you answer this, please?
That is a very specific project question, and it would be difficult for me to answer it from the information that I have there. So what we will do is we will follow up with you in the days following the meeting here and make sure that we can get your full question and answer that correctly by folks on the ground that can look at the situation that you have.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And just another last reminder here that if you have a question, you can press 0. So it does look like we have another one here from Susan in Frederick County who's asking, all the lines up here in the mountains in Shawneeland are above ground lines. Is there any plan in motion to put them underground due to all the trees and windstorms? Our power is constantly going out.
In order to keep power safe, reliable, and affordable, we do have to use different methods of construction. Our primary method of construction in those mountainous rocky areas is typically overhead. We do have options should folks want to put things underground or in underground-based subdivisions based on requirements. And in those cases, the cost of that is the basic cost for membership would be the overhead lines. The underground lines are put in basically at the cost difference factor. So there's no plans for anything as large as like Shawnee Land to be buried totally, and that would come at, I'm pretty aware of that territory, recognizing the rock and the mountainous territory that's there. That would come at a fairly significant cost. And so right now, the repairing of overhead lines, making sure that we have a solid vegetation management program to try to keep at least those on right-of-way trees back, is the way we would keep most of those lines reliable.
Well, thank you so much, Susan. And seeing no more questions at this time, I want to thank each of our members who called in with questions this evening. And at this time, I will turn the floor over to our attorney, Ms. Hutman, to give us the election results.
Thank you, Taylor. Balloting and director elections opened on June 21st and ran through this past Monday, July 30th. I received the official ballot report yesterday from Survey and Ballot Systems, the company that has handled the ballot logistics. This year, our cooperative members have chosen as the director from Rockingham County, Suzanne Obenchain. She is an incumbent director who sought re-election to the board and was unopposed. There were no cooperative members who submitted the required documents to run against her. Thank you to the Qualifications Committee for their work this year. Those members are Tammy Canfield, Jeff Germroth, and James Wingfield. Mr. Orndorff?
Well, certainly we thank you all for spending this evening with us. And now we'll ask for a motion to adjourn this annual meeting. I have a motion and a second here in front of me. So all in favor of the motion to adjourn, please press 1 on your phone and 2 for no. I can see the results. So again, thank you again on behalf of the cooperative and your family. I now declare this meeting adjourned.